Thank you sincerely. In fact, the last line is actually noteworthy that you are involved in the building our future at Copa. Very well done, sir.
Glory be to God.
All right, now let us start. And but this time around, we are going into structural engineering. Who is a structural and what are those things that are required to be a structural engineer?
Thank you very much, Mr. Presenter. A structural engineer is the engineer that determines the stability and the durability of any infrastructural projects. The, 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 the stability and the durability, the strength, that is the exact duty of a structural engineer.
Engineer, I would still want you to enlighten us more about this field of structural engineer because primarily we used to believe that in the field of engineering, traditionally it used to be mechanical engineering, civil engineering, and electrical and electronics engineer. But under which family do structural engineering fall? And what are those things that one must put in place or must keep at the back of their mind before saying that you want to become a structural engineer?
So thank you very much. Let me take you back to the memory lane.
Okay.
Of all the engineering professions, modern engineering is military engineering. And with the need for military purposes, civil engineering came into existence from the military engineering. And as of today, the mother, let me say the family of civil engineering is into almost 20 areas of specialization. Wow. To mention just a few. We have geotechnical engineering that has to do with the durability of the soil. We have the environmental engineering. We have the hydraulic engineering that deals with laying of pipes that conveys hydraulic, be it gas or
any
oil.
substance.
Yeah. We have transportation engineering, we have structural engineering, we have coastal engineering, there is earthquake engineering, construction engineering, material science. We have project management, construction management, marine engineering, to mention but a few.
Wow.
But the issue of structural engineering, as you asked, yes, is of the durability property of fine aggregates of the world and water. So those are the primary that have not really developed to a large extent is the timber. The timber too, it has its own property. Okay. And it has a way of designing which section of the timber the layman.
Because for me, I don't know much about it. I know that eventually
the D is the breadth, the D is the depth.
Okay.
Yeah. So that gives you the cross-sectional area, the element.
Now let us take a look at the roles of structural engineer in construction in Nigeria, especially when it comes to building. What are the roles of structural engineer? Are they always involved right from the time that a building, the conception is there, or when it has actually gotten to a particular level? Maybe then is when a structural engineer will now come into the picture.
So thank you very much. The formed by structural engineers, the importance or the realization varies from one part of the world to the other, and from one city to the other. Look at Abeokuta, for instance. The need for structural minimal. So even when you ask people that you need a structural engineer, the artisan will tell you that you don't need a we have done 10 before now.
So we have the experience.
We have the experience. But in places, the size of the building is magnificent. The nature of the soil that bears the building or the infrastructure is of questionable quality, like the mud, the swampy, or the sea. Nobody tells the client that the first person you should contact is a engineer. So it depends on the location, from one town to the other, and from one country to the other. They are the importance, but the absolute for structure, that we know that the durability of the and the lifespan of the structure is of very high risk. The role of structural engineer is from the conception.
Now, Engineer Oloyede, let us go to this area that of recent few days ago, like less than 72 hours ago, in this southwest, we experienced a building collapse in Ibadan, in Oyo State here, let's say in Oyo State. And as a structural engineer, what are the factors that are responsible for this menace when it comes to building collapse? Is it that people are actually managing the resources, or what is the primary cause of building collapse?
There are so many factors
Okay.
that could lead to building collapse. Some could be pre-commissioning of buildings, because when you employ the best engineer in the world and they give you a structure, but you refuse to degradation, particularly over a period of about 20 or 25 years, so a building can collapse. In such a situation, you don't hold the engineer responsible, you hold the client responsible. But in the case that the building is not yet commissioned and there is a collapse, you hold the engineer responsible. And there are so many factors that could cause that. Just as I said, the before you start any construction, the first thing you prepare is the architecture. Look at the nature that they will use. But by the time you tell the clients, we need about 250,000 for soil test, we will tell you, oh, we are asking, they will be pound penny wise and pound foolish. So in the area of the substructure, which is the foundation, the soil, the role of engineer is very, very important.
Very, very important.
That is the first thing.
If you just tuned in, the program is Engineering and You on OGBC 90.5 FM. Engineer Oloyede, you still have a little submission before we move to the next question. We're still talking about the roles of engineer.
When you look at the size of the foundation too,
okay,
the building, which comprises of the dead load and the life load, determine what will be the size of the foundation. I'm talking of the sectional size, the length and the breadth of each of. There are different types of foundation. Let me but we have for in the area where there this is waterlogged, you can use pads or combination of all of these type of foundation. Then these other major structural member in the building are the columns, the beams, the slab. Besides, and just as I told you, we call something reinforced concrete.
Yes.
When you see a concrete, for instance, it is always, all these structural components are made up of steel and concrete, as I said. There should be a particular quantity of steel in a particular cross-sectional area of concrete that can bear the load of the building in the slab, in the column, and in the beam. All these ones, it is the engineer that will specify it. Depending on the use we are putting the building. The first time I said that a building can collapse after commissioning.
Yes.
For instance, a building was designed for residential. The load of a residential building is 1.5 kilonewton per meter square. You now change the use to commercial or to store or to dancing hall, where the expected load is about 4 kilonewton per meter square. You have exposed the building to more
a deficit of over 2.5.
With time, you will have issue. Sometimes people will say, we want to remove this so that we have larger space. Let us remove this column. Let us expand. Let us remove this wall. In the attempt of demolishing the building parts, they are removing the actual members, transfers the load from the ground. Sort an engineer. An engineer can advise you the limits you can go and what you need to do. You can still be safe. So
Okay, let's open the phone lines right now. 08050320226. Do you have any question for our guest on this week's edition of Engineering and you want to corroborate any of the points raised? Kindly call 0804379453 and 0815 Now, Engineer Oloyede, with your experience at the Polytechnic as well as the university, and you've been involved in the provision of affordable housing at Kobakwe, Ila, Shagamu, Iperu. Okay, have a caller on the line. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening,
Yeah, my name is Olushola Johnson, calling from Rwanda.
Mr. Olushala Johnson. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, yes. What is the work of the building engineer? There are some who say they are building engineer. It is now different from the structural engineer. Well, what is the difference between them? What do they do? The building engineers, what do they do? Because you tell you they want to do integrity, they want to do this and that. What is their work? I want to know the difference. Thank you. Good evening.
Thank you very much for joining us. Building engineer and a structural engineer. Is there any difference between the two?
thank you said. If somebody tells you this is building engineer, he had narrowed the scope of what you can be building. So if he's well trained and satisfied in the aspect of building, he can do almost everything.
Okay.
But you don't expect a building engineer to design a dam for you. You don't expect a building engineer to design a mast for you.
Okay.
You don't expect a building engineer to design a gantry
For you.
for you. You don't expect a building engineer to design
Like structure, anything that has structure.
Yes,
It's
structural
other-
engineering is more broader than building engineering.
Technique as well as the university in terms of provision of affordable housing at Kobakwe, Ilaro, Shagamu, Iperu, and different areas across Ogun State, the Gateway State. How would you describe engineering training in the Polytechnic as well as the university, looking at this of structural engineering in Nigeria today?
Actually, I did ND at the Ilaro.
Okay.
There I proceeded to the university. I did industrial attachment at AOP Consult Limited in Lagos, Apapa. It's a consulting firm. So we were months, but I spent 10 months.
Why? Why the extra 4 months?
There was strike
Okay.
during the Abacha
Period.
And because I really had interest in the design, so the reason why I had to stay longer. So let me tell you that throughout the 3.5 years that in the classroom, I was practicing design as a freelance structural engineer. I prepare my structural drawing and take it to some more senior registered engineers. They vet it and they give approval that it is okay for training. That I really put in so much, sustained me to practice that engineering even as a teacher.
Wow.
To let you know the significance of myself was I was one of the few lucky ones that did the industrial training in a place where I could get the training. So many students, they play about during industrial. I'm telling you the importance of industrial training. And since I have been in the Ministry of Housing, I think as far as either the youth corpus or the IT students, I think I've trained close to 50.
Wow.
Up till last week, I still signed out the logbooks of the students that came from various universities. I attach them to ongoing sites. They report to the office. In fact, there are some basic design tools like the Orion or the Proton structure, telling you that there is no how we can have a a, a formidable, excellent engineering practice in Nigeria without adequate industrial training. Because the employer doesn't have time to train you.
Yeah.
When an employer is taking you, they want to start making from you from the one. But it's only during the industrial training that you can learn most of these things. And if you are the humble one and the hardworking one, you'll be introduced to the basic things that you're supposed to know. So many things you have learned in the classroom that does not even make meaning to you. We did one surveying while we did it in the Polytechnic, we did it in 300 level university, and I got an IT student. The guy is from the Kogi State. In fact, one of the engineers that work for our ministry said he should come to me for industrial attachment. He said that he came all the way from Kogi to the Ministry of Housing, that he knows that Oloide will train you. He came, I was introducing him to the surveying, how we get the spot height, the slope of the drainage. I gave him this. I told him to set up the leveling instrument. I gave him the leveling staff. I was taking the distance. When we did the thing, and I now told him to go and plot it, he now saw the fall. He will say, wow. So that is how I take them from the first principle, such that by the time they are leaving, the aspects that we were able to make of what they have done in the classroom, that's what not really making them to prepare their final projects. And I always tell most of my IT students that I will demand laptop from you, because it is a modern tool of any field today. There is no how without a laptop right from your undergraduate age.
Yeah. Okay.
So
now, just because of time now, because we're pressed for time, quickly, maybe you share with us the trending things in the world of structural engineering. What are the latest trends in structural engineering? Just in quick minutes.
Actually, the AI,
yes,
artificial intelligence, is coming into the structural engineering now.
And how are you raising up for that?
And I don't think Nigeria is near it.
But we can only get ourselves prepared for it.
But I don't know Nigerians go to other part of the world. You know this Japa syndrome. Yeah. It's not that we cannot excel, but presently in Nigeria, we have not been really developing along AI. But it is used in so many other parts of the world. The AI and some, how can I put it? It's now coming in into engineering. Now
I want you to sell engineering to all our esteemed listeners listening to you on Night on Fire. And I want you to take about 90 seconds.
Let me take you back to when I was in the classroom. I am an engineer.
Okay.
The first day I resumed to my place of duty at Ogbori High School, my then principal, Mrs. Adeyemi, said, okay, you said you are an engineer. Come. We have an erosion problem here. So I went to the place. The material that they brought was this concrete ring. They said they want to place it such that the student will not be entering through that water from the compound. Late Mr. Ade was the head of the design. Was sat, but within 2 hours, we were able to replace the ring at the right place. That is between me and the principal. But with the students, I left more than 80 students in SS1 when I was living in Ogbori. Wow. While they were in GS3, I went to their class, encouraged them so much why they should be science students rather than arts students or commercial. And I was teaching in the senior school. They were in the junior school, but I took time to go to them, teach them what to do. If you want me to teach you, make sure you come to science class. Because me, I taught physics.
And you're waiting for them there.
I'm waiting for them, and they came. Honestly, they came. You see, if you look at all the developed world, what makes the human resources, the resources in the human, is more of science and engineering, than the business and both engineers. Yes, everything.
Now, quickly,
thank you very much. I want to advise the government first, because it is one thing to produce engineer, and at the end of the day, they all japa. I'm not happy with this syndrome of japa.
Japan.
Because let me tell you, in the civil service generally, I'm sorry to say this, when young people came, we trained them. By the time they spend about out of any reason, this one wouldn't have japa. But actually, if the government is doing what they're supposed to do, we suggest
engineers will be retained.
yes, and engineers are retained. I know very sure, and the engineers are well paid. If government can make that, we make very those of us that are practicing things. I'm very sure the people in the elementary class.
A better way to wrap up the program this lovely evening, that government should come into the picture to support engineers and their current freely,
yes,
and also create environment for them.
yes.
A better way to wrap up the program this lovely evening. Sincere appreciations, my guest on this week's edition of the program, Engineer Abdulakim Oloyede. Thank you so much for your time on the program.
Thank you very
I
much.
wish you all the best in all your undertakings.
Thank you very much.
Appreciation to those that will work together in the studios this lovely evening. Daniel Okechukwu is the ICT man, not leaving out Yemi manager. This program is proudly sponsored by Engineer Mrs. Fumlayo Waid Adekujo FNSA and powered by the Nigerian Society of Engineers NSA Belkuta branch. Yemisi Shodeko is the producer of this program, and the executive producer remains Tony Sugarson. My name is Temitope Babalola. Please do join us at 6 next week Monday for a fresh edition of Engineering and You. Good evening and thank you for joining.